Morning, or good morning, or good afternoon, depending on wherever you are. I'm here on the West Coast. It's still coffee time for me, so hope you've got a cup of something warm in your hand and can join me for a sip now and then. We're here for getting started with Trustworthy this morning. Thanks for joining. I'm Nat Robinson, founder and CEO of Trustworthy, and based in Oregon. And I have Alan Goodwin, one of our product leads, here with us this morning, who is based in Texas. So we're all over America, pretty much. And what we're going to do today is talk a little bit about family operating system for your family, and give you a little demo, and then talk about some kind of a little seasonal topic today that Alan said we should talk about.
Sure, blame me.
We're doing it. Alan's the boss, basically. We're going to talk about having conversations with your family, and as you get together at the holidays, it's a good opportunity to talk about family, estate transitions, elder care, all of the topics that you might want to talk about when you're with your loved ones. We'll talk about a little case study that's close to home, how you prevent fraud. There's a little sneak preview. But let's talk about the family operating system first. We're going to give you a demo, show you how it works, answer any questions that you have, and see how that goes. In case you're wondering, what is the family operating system? We like to think about it increasingly as a private, trusted digital assistant that helps you take care of all the paperwork across your home, so that you know where it is. You can put your hands on it when you need it. You can share it with your loved ones. You can collaborate with them and your trusted professionals like an accountant or an estate planning attorney. I'm redoing my estate plan right now, and having my estate planning attorney in my system has been really helpful as we collaborate, go back and forth. He asks questions, I try and give answers, and we figure it out, and then the documents land in my Trustworthy account. Same with my accountant, actually. I collect things all year long, and that I need to collect, and I think, oh, this might be tax deduction worthy. Let me collect this in Trustworthy. But there are lots of use cases behind Trustworthy. One was, like, I just don't want to lose track of something important. I need to put my hands on it in the moment that I need it. And if I get hit by a bus, will my family be okay? Will they know where to go to find the treasure map of things that maybe they kind of sort of know about, but don't know all the details? And then, of course, what about, not beyond my household, what about my loved ones? What about my siblings? What about my parents? Even my in-laws, they could use some help. How do we take care of the other households across our family? So we'll get into some of that today, but first up, let's hand over to Alan, and let's have a look at Trustworthy, the product, and how it works.
Thanks, Nat. Hi, everybody. Pleasure to be here. I'm joining you from Austin, Texas, where it's deceptively cold today, and will be 77 tomorrow, so don't feel bad for me. I'm going to share my screen so that we can all take a tour together. All right. If you signed into your Trustworthy account brand new, it's going to look a little bit like this. And I'm going to start by taking you on a tour of what this space looks like and what the features are that will help you get started. And then I'm going to transition into the many, many ways that we have created for you to very quickly get information into Trustworthy, where we help make it useful as well as secure. So let me take you on a quick tour. Over on the left-hand side is your navigation panel. This is how you're going to get home here to this screen, your dashboard. It's how you can get to your inbox, and we're going to show you how to fill that inbox any way you please. It's where you can access reminders, and reminders are things that we might create for you from your driver's license, for example. We know when it expires, when you add it in, so we can create that automatic reminder and give you a link to the DMV to get started. You can also create custom reminders. And of course, this is where all of your categories of information live. This is where you might pop to find something if you don't want to use search. It's also a helpful clue as to the types of information you're going to want to start putting into Trustworthy to make the most out of it and help kind of give yourself that peace of mind. Here in the middle, I can drag and drop some files in. It's one of the ways to get in. I have some sample files here that I'm going to show you in a second. We also give you some ideas on how to get started quickly. I already did the key one, which is multi-factor authentication. You cannot put a drop of information into Trustworthy without it. And I actually shared a news story last month out of Chicago. A family did not do the MFA, and when their account got hacked, their investment company said you're half liable, and they lost a lot of money because they did not implement multi-factor authentication. So it's very interesting. We'll see where that goes in the future. But here at Trustworthy, it's required. This is also where you're going to find your activity feed. Now, mine looks a little sad, but as you continue building your account, you're going to see everything that you've done, your collaborators have done, so you can keep track of what's happening inside your account very easily. And of course, up here in the right corner, you're going to have a user menu with standard features that we're going to pop into, including manage access, which is where you can add collaborators. So you don't have to do this alone. You can assign tasks to others, and creating secure links to share information temporarily. Let's get started with that. What happens when I add information to Trustworthy? I like to show these examples here because it really illuminates how this is not just a folder. It's not even just a secure folder. We're doing a lot of work behind the scenes. So when I add a driver's license, for example, we're going to secure it and encrypt it. We're going to say, oh, this belongs to David Reynolds. We're going to create an account for him. We're going to add all the data from the license. We're going to tokenize that. We're going to say someone breaks in, they can't get the information. It's replaced with random information. License will be available in search, so we make sure you can find it. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to actually even give you a link to where you can renew it when we set up your reminder for you automatically. And on you go, right? So this is what happens behind the scenes with every bit of information you're adding. We're doing the most we can to connect that information to your life and to other information inside of your Trustworthy account. So what does it look like when I add information? I'm going to cheat. I have some resources set aside. They're all fake. Don't worry, we're not spilling any sensitive information. I'm adding Mr. David Reynolds' driver's license, front and back. So I'm just going to drag and drop those in, and you can see over here in the panel that our Autopilot is automatically analyzing that. What's interesting about how we use AI here at Trustworthy, this is not like throwing your information into ChatGPT, this big open space, right? This is a private, secure space just for you, and it's working to make your information powerful so you can act upon it. So I have a license here, and it says, oh, we think you should add this to David Reynolds. This is the account I'm in, and I'm going to open it. I already created his account, and I can just drop it in there. It's going to process that, and I can drop the back in as well. And you can see right away, it gave me all the details about the state, the license number, the expiration. The beauty of that, it saves you time and mistakes. How many of you are like really good at typing all those digits? I mean, that was the part of typing class. I did have a typing class that I failed at, right? Like how many of you are good at that? Anyway, so it puts all those details in for you. You can accept them and you have that all set. So you can see now over here on the right, we created those automatic reminders about the birthday and about the renewal of the driver's license with a link to go renew it. I can continue adding more information. I love adding the family IDs because it is pretty powerful. In the case of David here, I could go ahead while I'm here and I could add his passport, for example, and other information. Let me drag and drop his passport information, global entry cards. All of that has a place here because you never know when you're going to need it. You lose it, you need a secondary photo ID. This is a great place to get started. You have this accessible. Most of us have one form of ID or another. So we do really encourage people to start with those forms of IDs. All right, so I will pause here. Nat, have you ever used your ID on the go?
Yeah. Yeah. Use it, and we've heard lots of stories of people using it as a replacement for their physical ID in a pinch. The story I like most from one of our customers was he had a business meeting at a bar, and he forgot his wallet. He was able to produce his Trustworthy mobile app and say, hey, look, I'm really over 21. And he was able to save the business meeting with that example of being able to use Trustworthy in the moment. So we've heard lots of, another one I loved was A couple was on a vacation in Mexico, and they had to go to the consulate. And then when they got there, they realized that they'd left their passports in the hotel safe, but were able to get into the consulate and conduct their business thanks to Trustworthy. I think it's great. The other one that I think about a lot is test driving a car, where they're always asking for your driver's license, and I never want to have them take a photocopy of it, right? Which is what they routinely do. So that ability to have a secure link from your driver's license and share it with someone temporarily is great, and in a way that you can control, right? Secure links are a way to control how people access your information and for how long. It's really helpful.
Yeah, he stepped right into that beautifully for me, everybody. I love secure links as well, because look, I don't need my person out there. It's, I had to go to the car dealer. I had a recall. I don't need them to have my driver's license forever. They just don't need it. So giving it to them for an hour is great. I did that just recently with a recall notice that I had to go do. You can create that secure link, copy it, and send it. And it really is something that is a lot better than letting all of your private information live on in other people's inboxes. So sharing in this secure fashion is a really great asset here that we create at Trustworthy. Another way that we like to help people get information is, all of us have information that lives in our inboxes, right? I have on my screen a few examples. So I was sent a life insurance policy. Let's take that as an example. Well, at Trustworthy, I have a couple options. I can take this email and I can forward it to my Trustworthy inbox. I have a secure email for my David Reynolds inbox. Where do I get that? Up here, I mentioned that we have some interesting things in secure settings. So in my settings, I have an emailed inbox. It's unique to me. It's unique to every user. So if you have a family member on your account, they're going to have their own unique one. I can copy that email. I created a contact from it. And now I can forward to my inbox any attachment from anywhere. Or let's say I'm buying a home, or I'm refinancing, or anything like that. I can give that email to my realtor and say, please CC this email on any documents you send me. It will automatically land in my Trustworthy inbox, where I can then have it already organized and secure. The other option is, when I have documents in my email, I can also use our Chrome extension. So I've installed the Chrome extension, excuse me, and here it already says, oh, look, we found this PDF in your email. I can send it right to my inbox, or I can immediately file it where it belongs. This is life insurance. So I could say I want to add it into my life insurance, and I could pop it in here if I wanted to. The third option with the Chrome extension for getting more information in is something that I live through on a regular basis, which is, I'm signed into an account and I get a receipt, or I get a bit of information, and how do I get it secure and accessible without having to sign into that account all the time? Whether these are medical test results, these are receipts like here, or it's a permit for construction like here. What you can do is you can say, you know what I want to do? I want to go back. I want to take a screenshot of this, and I want to select the area that I want to capture, and I can send that directly into my Trustworthy inbox. So I won't have to sign in, and it will be waiting there for me. I don't even have to deal with it right now if I don't want to. I can go to my inbox later. Anywhere I'm working, I can grab a screenshot. I can also do something called a scrolling screenshot. So how many of you might have kids, grandkids out there, or your own, travel itineraries, whatever, social calendar you have. We have calendars, they're really long, and we're always looking for those links, right? Where was that calendar? Well, with our Chrome extension, I can also say I want to grab a full page, and I can have it capture, and it will scroll for me and capture all of that information, and again, send it over into my inbox in a single file. So when you're working online, having that Chrome extension just makes it a lot easier to capture information on the go.
I love this feature. I just used it yesterday in paying property taxes. It's that time of year.
Yep.
You get to these county websites, and they send you one of these screens. It's like the receipt, and you're like, okay, is this it? Is this the only receipt I'm going to get? I really want to capture this. I really want to have evidence of paying for this. And just using the screenshot grabber was amazing. Getting it right into the property section or the tax section of Trustworthy is invaluable.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, having it just pop in your inbox and you can grab it when you're ready, like that makes a big difference. I'm going to also switch now.
I just say for anyone who's buying or selling a home, if you've done that before, you know how many different players there are: the realtors, the inspectors, the city, the title company. They're all sending you stuff across the breadth and depth, the notary, the breadth and depth of the transaction, giving them that email to copy on everything they send you, so everything goes beautifully into Trustworthy and gets handled by our intelligent features and organized for you is amazing. I just went through it when we sold the property early this year, and it was such a savings in time and not having to go, oh, this landed in my email. What am I going to do with these documents? It's a nice hack. It's a really amazing hack to use that email ID.
Yeah, I'm all about using technology that saves me a lot of stress in my life. When Nat recently said to us, folks, he's like, people don't need more folders, they need relief. And I completely agree, because chaos is hard to contain in our daily lives. So I want to quickly show you our mobile app. You can download it for iOS or for Android. And I think that in the context of Trustworthy, why would you need the app? One is to get information in, again, very easily. So we make that really happen on our app. And also to find it in a pinch. I'm out and I need the VIN number on my car. Like, are you kidding? That's, I don't know, 28 letters and numbers. No hope. So if I can just open it up, copy it, and I have to run to my car, go into the glove compartment, whatever. Getting that information on the go is also really, really important. So I'm going to switch screens. And what's great about the app that I like to tell folks too, I don't know about you, I do not enjoy I don't mind inputting things into my mobile app. I don't like filling in the blanks or modifying anything using the app, right? I'd rather work on the desktop where I have a lot more space to look at what I'm doing. And so on the app, it's loading. I'm back in David Reynolds' account. You'll see search is obviously featured right at the top. I can jump into any one of these categories. I can see those family IDs I was just working on, right? We added some of those. So those are waiting for me. But what's great is our options here. You can scan a document, which might be a card, it might be that license, it might be a 30-page document that's your life insurance policy. It can be any of those things. So you can scan a document. And what's great about the scan option is the information is recognized differently than if you just take a photograph. It can read all of those data points in and make more use of them inside Trustworthy. What do I use a photo for? I use it for objects around the house that I'm trying to document. I use it for a photo of my dog to add to his profile photo in Trustworthy, you know, whatever it is. I use photos more for objects, not for documents. Camera roll and files are probably self-evident. So what I'm going to do now is show you one of the other reasons I love scanning a document. So I'm going to go ahead on the app and scan a document. Now, what's great about scanning a document is it automatically appears inside your account on desktop. So you are not stuck working with it on the mobile app. You can scan, send, scan, send, scan, send. You can send as many things as you want over into Trustworthy, and it will automatically appear inside of your inbox. Let me switch here. And you can see it coming in here at the top. And now I have the Geico policy. So I had this sitting next to my desk, and I just scanned it in. It already processed all of the key details that I'll need. I don't have to type in any of this. Geico, the policy number, the issue date, all of that information is already there for me. Furthermore, Trustworthy said, hey, we don't see this insurance policy in your account. Let's create that insurance policy and add this to it. So I'm going to add that Geico insurance policy to my account. And then I am going to pop this actual policy declarations page into the new insurance tile that it created. So here it created Geico combined auto insurance. And I can drag the file right on in there, and it will fill in those key details again for me. Accept, and we're all set to go. Now, what's great here, think about, I have a young driver. She has a driver's permit. She has access to her permit here on Trustworthy. She has access to insurance. It's in the glove compartment, but it's also here. I can invite her as a collaborator, and I want to talk a little bit about that. So your collaborators could be people inside your own household, right? So I can say my husband has full access to everything inside Trustworthy because I want him to add it all. I want him to help maintain it, etc. My daughter, she doesn't need access to all the financial information and the investment accounts and all that kind of thing. She needs access to certain medical information, the insurance card. She needs access to the auto insurance. She needs access to her school ID because apparently when she forgets it, she needs to be able to open it on Trustworthy and show it at the school camera to get into the school. Happened last week. So she only needs partial access to certain things inside Trustworthy. The same goes for my lawyer. Like Nat, I'm working on a will. I had one of those life-changing events last year. Shame on me. I didn't have a will ready and it kind of kicked me into gear. So my lawyer has access to the legal folder so that she can add things into the legal folder. She has access to all of her IDs, so she can use those as she's preparing the documentation. That is why we help manage people's access, partial or complete access, or we have legacy access. Legacy access means when I'm dead or incapacitated, you can go to Trustworthy and you can unlock access to all of my resources. So here I can add anyone that is in my account. I don't have anyone at the moment, so I could add my fake, well, I guess in this case, my fake wife, because I'm logged in as David Reynolds. So I could add someone here and say, I want this person to have access. And I can type in Laura Reynolds. I can say what her role is. She's a fit loved one. And I can manage that access, or I can say, now please invite this person to have access to this Geico insurance policy. I can change these permissions at any time. I can extend them, I can limit them. That's always under your control. I'm gonna click manage access so you can see. Here's David, he has complete account access. His loved one, his wife, Laura Reynolds, is pending with partial access. And if I wanted to, I could access, add someone as a legacy contributor as well. So I can just fill in that information. Susan Reynolds, let's say that's grandma. She's a loved one. I'm going to create a fake account for her. Don't mind me. And now I'm going to say, I want grandma to have legacy access. Something happens in our family. I want to make sure that she has access to all of our critical resources. Say review. Great. Susan Reynolds has legacy access, and I can send that invitation off. So I'm going to pause here. Nat, is there anything that I missed before you want to move on to some of our fun conversation starters?
No, that's great. I think we should take a check here and see if people have questions. Folks, if you have questions, there's a little grid icon in the bottom right corner of your screen that will open up a menu, and from that menu, select Q&A. And that's where you can ask questions if you have any questions about how Trustworthy works. Happy to take those as we go. You've seen a pretty good overview today. There's certainly more here we can dive into. And happy to take any questions as they occur to you. Sorry we didn't do that earlier. Let's keep moving though. Let's move on to the second part of our business. Oh, Kathy Nelson has a question. Great. Does the software provide prompts to guide you through the complete? Yeah, you can see here at the beginning, in new accounts especially, there's this quick start guide that walks you through some of the what we call onboarding steps or initial steps, and guides you through adding what most people add first. These categories and these steps. What we've learned from thousands of families are sort of the top of mind things that they want to get started. And it's sort of along the lines of, if I only told you about one thing, what would it be? If I told you about two things, it's sort of in that order of priority. And we've sort of collated those kinds of lists. We also have helpful content and checklists that once you sign up, you should get an email and also available on the blog. So there's a combination of some things that are in product guiding you towards getting everything filled out and complete for your family, and then some things that are outside the product in terms of blog and checklists that we make available to you through email when you sign up. Number two, with legacy access, what triggers the legacy person for complete access? Yes, great question. So we have a documented unlock process that starts when someone contacts us, usually a legacy access contact that says, hey, someone's incapacitated in the hospital, we need to get access to their medical information. They're unable to do this themselves, or that they're passed away, that they're deceased. And the process involves documentation, support from the ecosystem, like a letter from the doctor or a death certificate, and any other collaborators in the account. So if there are no other collaborators in the account who have any kind of access, then we go through the unlock process. It's available, if you want more details, it's available in the Trustworthy knowledge base in terms of, we can probably pop a link in here in a second, for that, to give you a sense of what the unlock process is. Okay. Happy to take questions, folks, as they come in, but what we'd like to spend a little bit of time talking to you about today is having conversations with family this holiday season as you get together and share some time and hopefully some good food and beverages. Is the kind of conversations you might have with your families, with your loved ones, maybe their siblings, maybe their parents, maybe their in-laws. I'm going to talk a little bit about the situation with my mom, and then Alan's going to talk about some other situations in terms of fraud and peace of mind, and who are the guardians and when something goes awry. But first up, my mom is 85. She lives in New Zealand, which is about 7,300 miles away from where I live on the west coast of America. And it's been this way for a while. That's where I grew up, but I've been in the US for more than 20 years. And she was actually pretty proactive in this discussion, which was helpful, rather than me having to say, hey, Mom, let's talk about your estate plans, which always sounds predatory in my mind. Tell me how much money I'm getting in the will, kind of thing. She initiated a conversation a couple of years ago about, hey, I've created a will, and I want you to know about, where that is. I'm sending you a document, and here's the contact details from my estate planning attorney. So that was a really helpful initiated discussion. And then we were able to use Trustworthy to structure some of the elements beyond the legal documents, things that only she would know in terms of running her household, and the things that were precious to her and her wishes for her celebration of life. And Trustworthy gave us a lot of structure in terms of talking about the different elements, the financial elements, of course, the real estate, all the things across her estate, and how those would transition when the estate transition happens. The other thing that was really interesting was having a conversation about all of the items in her household and some of the ones that were really precious to her. So some clothing that she had for a long time, or jewelry that she'd gotten in different moments across her life, and all the memories she had around those items. She was able to put those in the property section of Trustworthy and write descriptions and what each of those items meant to her. Some art that she had in her home and who the different artists were, the pottery items, things that I didn't know the details, like, oh, this is actually from a relatively famous New Zealand artist or potter. This might be valuable, don't give this to the Salvation Army. So she was able to document all of those stories and memories and Trustworthy in the property section, as well as all the other parts of her estate. This is not done. I was just back there over the summer and helping her declutter some of the things that she gathered across a lifetime, that she's like, I don't need these, or these are yours. Tell me what you want to do with them, as moms do. And so the best part of this now is that we're still working through the bits and pieces as things get updated, but she feels like we're collaborative. She's been able to share all the things she wanted to share with me, and I have a good understanding of where everything is, because a lot of it's Trustworthy. or there's a reference to something that maybe isn't digital or in Trustworthy. It might be a physical item, but she's able to create a reference to that as sort of the treasure map of where those things live. So I have peace of mind about how to transition her estate. She knows that I know, which makes her feel complete, I guess, or calm about whatever may come. And that's been it's been really helpful, even though we're so remote, like she's so far away, that we have this way to collaborate together and document everything. It's been really great. And that's a common use case across many of our members. They'll start with their own household, but then it's very natural for them to think about, oh, my mom who lives in Tampa, or my dad who lives in Seattle. Thinking about, especially for special needs family members, where there's a lot of maybe medical information that needs to get tracked. It's very common to, once you get your household started, to think beyond yourself and to other family members. How do we cater to them? How do we get them set up? And of course, there's lots of options to doing that. But that's my story about my 85-year-old mom who lives in New Zealand and how we've been able to use Trustworthy to get better organized and prepared.
I love that story. My parents are about 1,000 miles away, which is trivial compared to your miles, but we're also using it very heavily. We're going to talk less case study, more like what are the conversation topics that come out of talking to all of our members all the time? And a big one is about fraud prevention. I don't know about you, but every time I turn on the news during the holiday season or I open my inbox, I have, American Express and Chase and all these different banks and credit card companies telling me, here are the latest tactics that fraudsters are using to try and get your information. The easiest conversation point I find to start on talking about fraud prevention with our families of all different ages, I'm talking about with my 15-year-old, I'm talking about with myself and my husband and my parents, is passwords. I think that there are still a lot of us out there who have little Post-it notes stuck in our desk, or we have address books that are really password books. And of course, those are less secure. We're less likely to scratch it out and update on a regular basis, and we can't access them anytime, anywhere. And so having that conversation with, what are you using for password management? Maybe it's something like 1Password, but it starts that conversation about, how are you doing it? What's your protection look like? And you can then stepwise into really important information, which at Trustworthy, we aren't necessarily a password manager, but we are managing a lot of passwords, pins, combinations, right? So my mother, she's a caregiver that comes in a few times a week. That caregiver needs the garage door code, which is in Trustworthy, needs the combination to the front door, the combination to the medicine box, and also other day-to-day things like the password for the Wi-Fi or Netflix or whatever it is, right? A lot of day-to-day things that are vital to permission. And I've permissioned the code to my garage door to my neighbor. So when she lets the dog out, she has the combination and I can update it and change it anytime. But those really important pins and combinations that run our daily lives have a great home here inside Trustworthy. We also really push people to think, what passwords rule your life? And what I mean is, how do you get into your phone? How do you get into your laptop? What's the password to the password keeper? But what we want to warn folks to think about is, it's not enough to just put those inside Trustworthy and call it a day. You need to think about legacy access to those as well, just like legacy access to Trustworthy. If you want to stay above board on the law, you need to go into Apple and set up your legacy access person so that you can cut through the red tape in an emergency or an end-of-life moment and get to those really important resources for folks. So fraud prevention during the holidays and password protection is a really nice stepping stone into this topic of better security in general. Next. Lessening the worries. There's an interesting stat that 25% of Americans have never, they're 40 plus, have never been married. And there's a rising number of people who are childless as well. So I was thinking about like solo agers. I have several in my life. That's what they call them, solo agers. They don't have immediate nexus in their own household. But even within our households, how many of you divide and conquer? In my household, I deal with healthcare. My husband deals with the finance. So we have very divided access, not intentionally necessarily, but there's a lot there that we have to worry about if something were to happen. any single instrument like a long-term care policy or a pension or an investment documentation, any of that you pop into Trustworthy and share with someone who's going to be your medical proxy or your financial POA, any of those people who would need access can then be granted that access as a conversation starter as well. These can be really, really tricky conversations, but it reduces stress on everyone to know it's here. Here are the plans, here are my intentions, and here are the resources that are needed for whomever it is within my household or outside my household, right? If it's my sister and I am her proxy, I need access even though I'm not in her household. And now I worry a lot less because I already know she's got the plans in place. So we do find that for folks who are trying to tiptoe towards topics that might not be very comfortable conversation topics with our family, or create a lot of anxiety, or maybe peel back too many layers, starting with one or many of these types of documents and sharing them and eliciting a conversation has proven very, very useful as well. And one more before we go. This came up in my own life and I thought I would share it. So whether you are a great aunt, great uncle, a grandparent, a parent of a minor child, there's a lot of assumptions that go into who is the legal guardian. And I will say, and I won't out who it was, but I did have someone recently confess that her entire adult life, she thought that a godparent was the same thing as a guardian, and recently discovered not the case. Now she's working on appointing a legal guardian. So this is something that's also really, really sensitive. And some of the grief training that I've done in the past talks about explaining your why, having that opportunity to have a discussion. Why is this person the guardian? Can help deflate conflict and really hurt feelings later. It also helps set the stage for, and here are the resources that will help in the event of my passing for my child. Here are my plans, instructions. I have them in my family resources section of Trustworthy. I do. I have plans and instructions for my daughter. In the event of my passing, I have my funeral instructions. Nat mentioned something about that, but my husband says they don't count because it says, well, I'm dead, do what you want. It's not quite that, but something like it. But in terms of those guardian conversations, the holidays is actually a really good time to have those conversations and to share what your plans or intentions are, just so that you can head off some of those conflicts and hurt feelings down the road, because you never know what's coming at you. I know it's a dark thought, but we all want to know that those babies and grandbabies are well taken care of. So we will leave on that last note about kind of different case studies that our members are bringing to us that they found really helpful in sharing with those people in their family that need that information.
I have a note on this, Alan.
Yeah.
When the estate planning attorney freaked me out, like worst case scenario kind of stuff. You're out on a date night and, the babysitter's at home, minding your kids. And, for some reason you don't come home and the police show up at the door. He said it's really important to have a letter for the babysitter to hand to the police so that they know who the guardians are, the legal guardians, and they don't end up bringing the children to like the shelter or some like overnight, hey, we've got to take care of these kids. What do we do? He said that's a really important letter to have in your arsenal of important documents so that the babysitter can hand it to the police and say, okay, if something horrible has gone horribly wrong, but here is the set of instructions and for taking care of the kids.
I have not done that, but now I'm going to.
Yeah, so too.
Wow.
So he's
Okay.
has drafted the letter for us, which is incredibly helpful.
Yeah, that's fabulous.
Yeah. So it's all those sort of like the gaps in the system, right? How do you talk about this? And I think holidays is a great time to talk about like, hey, would you consider it if you haven't asked someone yet? Like, would you consider being the guardian if something were to happen to us?
Yeah, please don't leave that to be a surprise. I actually had a friend who recently discovered she was the estate executor for her cousin, and they're very, very close, but she had no idea. And she's never been an estate executor before. So it was a really terrifying free fall into what do I do now? So I think that you're right. Like, you have to at least do the courtesy of letting them know that they are on the spot and make sure they're game.
Yeah, indeed. Well, thanks everyone for listening through this. We have a couple more questions. Joseph asks, just Trustworthy linked into my personal Dropbox where this is moving up. Can I hook into yeah. So Joseph, this is a feature that's coming very soon. It'll start with email, letting you sync your email attachments to Trustworthy, and doing that across multiple email accounts if you want to. Where we sort of in perpetuity will look for things that might show up as attachments that are documents that would belong in Trustworthy, like a PDF, real estate document, for example, or a statement from your wealth advisor. And we won't have sort of folder sync, Dropbox or Google Drive or some other folder sync initially, but that's one of the feeds that we'll be adding into this feature set of sort of linking things in perpetuity or syncing things across those different folders you might have. So today, yeah, you would need to drag and drop those things into the Trustworthy inboxes, and we'll make sense of them all. That's how it would work today. But in the future, be able to just point Trustworthy at a drive or a folder in Dropbox and say, please organize that stuff. If you're a time-starved busy person, we've had other customers come to us and say, look, I don't have time to do this. Do you have a person who can take care of it? I have this Dropbox folder. It's kind of a nightmare now. Can you make that all beautifully organized and Trustworthy? And we have a set of folks called Trustworthy certified experts who can work with you to do that. These are folks that come from reputable organizations like the National Association of Senior Move Managers, the National Association of Professional Organizers, American Association of Daily Money Managers. They're great organizations to work with. They all have professional standards and ethics. They all have their own businesses already and operate in those businesses. And then we, from them, do background checks and train them up on Trustworthy. They go through a certification program. So if you need someone to help you do that for you, if you're too busy to, or time-starved, successful families, or you have a loved one, maybe remote, that could use some help and maybe isn't as tech savvy or just needs someone to show them the ropes and Trustworthy how it works. That's a service that we offer. So that's a couple of different options for how that could work today. Joseph had another question about working with getting monthly statements. Do we have a way to hook in and get those statements? I think is what you're asking. We don't today because wealth advisors use quite a variety of different systems. So integrating into each of them is something we don't do today. What I would propose here is adding your wealth advisor as a collaborator, as probably limited access collaborator who has access to maybe the finance category and the assets that they're managing for you, and then they can automatically or on a monthly basis, hey, we've got a new statement for you, and we've dropped it into Trustworthy, and you would get notified about it when you would see that in your activity feed when they do something on your behalf. And this is really the whole point of collaboration is these folks work for you, having them do work in a way that is your preferred way of working is increasingly what we see, professionals snap to. And quite often when they discover Trustworthy, they come to us and say, hey, look, I have 1,100 other clients across our practice. Can we use Trustworthy with them as well? There's a whole bunch of reasons I won't get into here in terms of wealth advisors wanting to adopt Trustworthy, estate planning attorneys, accountants, other professionals who will often buy Trustworthy on behalf of their clients. So if you haven't purchased yet and you have a professional, that may be a way to get Trustworthy for free that they included as part of the service they deliver to you.
Nat, while we're back on the topic of collaborators, I wanted to share with folks, as you're going into the holidays, if you're traveling and are working with a travel agent, one thing to think about is adding them as a collaborator. If you upload like airline tickets or anything like this, like copies of or travel itineraries, any of that information. We have a recent use case where someone was traveling, they were in Berlin, flight got canceled. The travel agent had access to pop in the new information as they were going. So they didn't have to send it by email. They had it all in one place. And I think that was a really brilliant use case for collaborating with travel agents as you're moving around this holiday season.
Yeah, that's a good note. Joseph and Joe have a couple of questions about security. Trustworthy. So Joseph asks, has Trustworthy ever been hacked? What was the result? No, we've never been hacked. And I'll tell you why. Is that being trustworthy means having a very robust and secure and private platform that we've spent years building, and it's ongoing. It's not something we did a couple of years ago. It's continuous. Alan talked about it at the top of the call. The other reason is that we don't let you put any information into the account with having at least a robust password and second factor authentication. The combination of those two things you would think is incredibly common across every online service that you would use, but it's not. But for our service, you can't use it without having those two things in place. So robust password is one. There was a recent study that exposed some of the passwords that people are using, and it's crazy how many people are still using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or some combination of digits up or down. Not using multi-factor authentication. So multi-factor authentication is a great way to prevent all kinds of hacks, especially social engineering, right? Where you have to provide some second factor authentication, whether it's a key or a text message or something like that, means that you need to be physically present. And if you want, we have the most robust second factor, which is a YubiKey or something similar. You have to be physically present and touch the key to log in. We support that. So that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of security and privacy. Ellen, if you get a chance, can you paste in the security page? We're as transparent as we can about our security practices and how we keep your information private and protected. And there's a long page. If you go to trustworthy.com and click security, there's a really good amount of detail about how we go about it. Alan mentioned tokenization briefly at the top of the call. That's another thing that we do that's unique to Trustworthy because it's expensive and takes time to implement, but it's the level of security we wanted for our own information before we put all our valuable information in Trustworthy. And tokenization essentially means that we take all the really secure, like the social security number, for example, is a good example. We take all the digits, we replace it with a hash token, and then the analogy is like we take a single digit from your security and put each digit in a different safety deposit box and in a scrambled order. So only you have the key to retrieve that in a way so that you can read it and make sense to you, but anyone else would not be able to retrieve it. So that's another layer. And security is like an onion. I always use this onion analogy. How many layers can you have on the engine? Because the more layers you have, the better. That's another layer that we provided that I don't think anyone else provides. In terms of white papers, yeah, it is a good question from Josie. It's not just us saying it's secure. We've gone through a lot of compliance, intelligence, and certifications like SOC 2, like SOC 3. GDPR, because we have clients all over the world, including Europe, CCPA to California, HIPAA compliant for folks who want to keep medical information and trustworthy. All those certifications that we go through on a recurring basis on an annual or biannual basis, along with penetration testing, bug bounty programs, on and on. There's a whole raft of things that we talk about on the security page. If you want access, we have a portal actually that is usually reserved for partners who are doing diligence, like banks or insurance companies or others. If you want access, you can email security@trustworthy.com and ask for access to our Banta portal, which is a lot of the details about those compliances. Hopefully that's a pretty good overview of security, but we could spend all day talking about how we handle this. Linda has a great question. Where do you add information, serial numbers, receipts, etc., for items in your house? There's a few different ways you can do this, Linda, but the way I do it is if it's related to a property, there is a file or a section at the bottom of your property. So you have the address and all the other relevant information at the top part of the screen. And the bottom there's a place you can store an unlimited number of files. Ellen, I don't know if you still have your demo screen up, but we could show that quickly. And you can just drag and drop files there. I do it for, property. Like I bought a desk, for my office. So that has a receipt, probably comes with some warranty information. I grab all that and put it in that part of the, the files in that part of the property. But I do things like grabbing Costco receipts in case I want to return something. I'll use the mobile app to take a screenshot of those and put them in, property section as well. So here, Ellen is showing the different, different things that you might keep, different kinds of files. You can create an unlimited number of areas or sections, warranties, property documents, receipts. Really could be anything that you want to put in here. And you just, once those arrive in the inbox, you just drag and drop those into the system. Great.
Now you've dealt with weighty questions. I got an easy, direct one. I'm delighted. I did say that we recommend starting with something like a driver's license or a passport because it does unlock a lot of really useful information to help building out who you are and all this information, addresses. The address, that's something where in this, if you look at all of your data in this, like, I think of like children's science fair projects, right? Where you're connecting all of the planets with wires. Like if you connect all your dots inside Trustworthy, that address will connect to the home insurance. It will connect to, your driver's license, like all of it will connect. So what do we recommend other than driver's license? And I'm going to cheat on this answer. Please forgive me. I'm popping into chat. We do have a PDF you can download. And it is clickable. So you can checklist your way through our top 10 that our users have been putting in. So I just popped that into chat. You can checklist your way through, but they're also, I think that when I looked at what are the top 10, I appreciated that these are really powerful drivers of a lot of information for a household, like critical, if nothing else, type of information. So you can download that and use it. But, I think that every person's unique, depending on where you are at life and what you're trying to do. We do heavily emphasize being prepared for anything that comes your way. So we recommend thinking about all of that. And you'll see a lot more coming from us soon in the new year about smart reminders and useful prompts for covering gaps that you might not have thought about.
Yeah, driver's license is usually in your pocket or in your wallet. So it's one that you can easily grab and, use the Trustworthy mobile app to scan the front and back and see how Trustworthy works. If you haven't, like how we're ingesting that, how we're Autopilot, the AI feature is extracting all the relevant data, creating entities for you within Trustworthy and automating their organization. Something that we haven't really touched on is this idea of the household data graph, which is sort of the behind the scenes component of how the intelligent features are making sense of your data and interrelating all the different entities. So for example, this is a house, these are the owners, this is the warranty, this is the insurance. These are the related documents and other parts of the home that there's a sort of spatial map or mind map, if you like, of that being created in the back end that you don't see today, but we are going to we have created a visual way for you to see that we're going to release in this next version in the next couple of months. So that'll be exciting. Get to see like how Trustworthy is making sense of your household and mapping all the different components against each other, which is sort of the art and science of how we're able to automate this organization for you. Yeah, lots of cool stuff coming in the new year. I think we're about at time, so thanks for hanging in there, folks, and thanks for the great questions. We have recorded this session, so if you weren't able to watch all of it today, you'll be able to watch it on demand. Thank you for attending. Happy holidays, everyone. Stay safe, stay warm, and we'll see you in the new year.